Okay, hello everybody. We're back on the Africa PhD Spotlight, where we gather to share and highlight success stories of African PhD scholars. And today on the show is Dr. Maryline, all the way from Kenya. Whoop whoop. Okay, so welcome to the show, Dr. Maryline, and introduce yourself.
Thanks, Tabitha. Thanks for the invite. I am Maryline Kiptoo. I'm a lecturer in enterprise at Manchester Metropolitan University, and I lecture and research within entrepreneurship.
Good. Okay, so thank you so much. And we share the same research interest, so we're going to hear more about it, okay? Right, on to our first question about your PhD journey. How did you get into your PhD program, and how did you learn the topic? What made you choose the topic? What was your early days like? Share with us.
So my journey was very unconventional. I never intended to do a PhD, earlier on. So I did my master's at University of Strathclyde. And then after my master's, I went into the workplace, I got an email from a department administrator at Strathclyde, and she told me that there was a supervisor who then became my supervisor, a lecturer at that time who had a project and was looking to recruit a PhD student, and she pretty much asked whether I was interested in that. So yes, I expressed interest. I went in and met the lecturer, who then ended up being my supervisor, and she actually had, so her and another colleague had a research project. They're looking to recruit a PhD candidate. So I went in, had a conversation with them. It just happened that the research topic that they had really aligned with my interest already. They were looking into artisan entrepreneurs in the informal sector within the tourism context, and that is pretty much what areas that I was interested in. So given that project, I saw what the project was about. I had an in-depth chat with her. Her name is Dr. Pratima Sambajay. I had an in-depth discussion with her about the project, and it just seemed like something I'd really enjoy doing. So I expressed interest, went ahead, to just hear, went on for a couple of months to hear feedback, and then I got feedback. It was positive, and I was selected to do the project, and that is pretty much how I ended up starting the PhD.
Good. So that's so interesting. So while some of us were busy looking for PhDs, your PhD found you.
Exactly, my PhD found me, because it was never something I had thought about doing. But when the opportunity came, I thought about it. I consulted with my family members. I remember speaking to my dad, my mom, my sister, other family members, and to just get ideas of like, okay, should I pursue this or not? Because at that time, I thought I'd go back to the workplace. I used to work in investment management, and I thought I'd go back and work in the same space. But yeah, when the opportunity came, I took the opportunity.
Yes. So sometimes it's true, as they say, we walk through open doors. Sometimes we knock at the doors, and sometimes we just walk through open doors. So yeah, we're grateful that you had that open door and you chose to walk right through it.
Yes, indeed.
That's so interesting.
Indeed. And if I may just mention as well, I suppose also doing a master's degree in a university that was research active was also an advantage in itself, because there was already an environment where research was encouraged. Research activities was something that was actively being pursued. And it was just, going into Strathclyde, I didn't even think about the research aspect of it. I was just going to have a master's degree. But I suppose being in the right place at the right time was sort of like one of those things that came to place.
Exactly. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I think more people need to hear this. Sometimes you don't really have to just stress yourself over things. Sometimes it's being at the right place at the right time, and walking through open doors. So thanks for sharing that with us. Right. Now on to the second question, which is about challenges. As a PhD student, we know the journey is filled with challenges, and we've been there. We've faced most of it. So I just want to hear from you. What was your biggest challenge when you were doing your doctorate? Was there ever a time where you felt like quitting?
So my biggest challenge was right when I was doing my PhD. I had started, with a picture of how my research would be, my methodology, and and just planning ahead. So I had planned to do an ethnographic study that involved participant observations, going into the field, immersing myself, and whatnot. And then just when I was preparing my ethics to go to the field, COVID hit. When COVID hit, that meant, we had to, there was really no field work happening. So the biggest challenge was thinking about how to move forward with my PhD despite COVID. And if you remember, it was very uncertain in terms of when the world would open up for us to be able to travel, collect data, and things like that. So the biggest challenge for me was being able to pivot and think about how to go forward with my PhD. Luckily, with the help of my supervisors, we were able to think of other alternative methods that you could be able to use, and we were able to then transition that despite the lack of access to the field, we were able to transition in a way that could still allow me to be able to collect data in an in-depth manner to meet my research aims and objectives. So the challenge there was pretty much the transition and thinking about how to solve that biggest problem. I wouldn't say there was a point where I felt like quitting. I wouldn't say quitting ever crossed my mind, because I think I'm quite resilient, and I was quite resilient through it. But I have to say there are quite a number of tears every now and then. So
exactly.
Yeah, so a few tears were shed here and there. But aside from having those emotional ups and downs, I don't think I ever really quit. I don't even think I ever thought about quitting as such, because I was in to finish and to just have my PhD at the end.
Yeah. Well, it's quite interesting, right, there when you say when COVID hit, you were just about to go and collect your data. Now, for me, I had just returned to the UK before lockdown from my data collection. So by the time COVID, we in lockdown, I was in the depths of data analysis. And you can imagine, I think for me, the biggest challenge then was the loneliness aspect of it. Because I had just come back from Kenya, from the field. We're quite a collectivistic, family-oriented culture, and then you come back here and it's lockdown, you can't see people, you can't go to the library, you can't see colleagues. It was quite hard, and like you, I would say I never felt like quitting as well. I think there was such a, how we say back home, it takes a village to raise a child. So I think the thought that my whole village was waiting for this for this PhD, it in a way it injects into you some kind of you must finish kind of idea. So we are finishers, and I would say so we go in there, and it's people have stopped PhDs along the way for different reasons, and we quite understand. It's different for everybody, but I was just trying to share that I'm with you on the same. I never felt like quitting, because I knew there was an army of of witnesses waiting for it. Yeah, so thanks for sharing that as well. Now off to the third question about highlights, right? What was your biggest highlight in your PhD journey? Was there a moment of pride and joy? Anyone who supported you or who inspired you along the way?
Oh, the biggest highlight is definitely finishing and getting it submitted and doing the Viva and succeeding in that. That was definitely the biggest highlight. I remember when I was starting out, one of my supervisors, Tom Bowen, pretty much told me the best PhD is a finished PhD, and that just stuck to me. So the best PhD is a finished PhD. It stuck to me, and once I'd finished my PhD, that was like, it's now like the best. It's done. It's finished. So that was pretty much the highlight. But getting onto that, a couple of other highlights along the way. I think one of the highlights I had along the way was realizing I had found how I'm contributing to knowledge. I sort of like had this light
Yes.
bulb moment
I
of like,
am
oh yeah,
telling you,
this is
yes.
exactly how, this is what my PhD is about. This is how I'm contributing to knowledge. That was a big highlight. And then another one was when it all began coming together. When
Yes.
in the writer phase and everything starts to come together, everything is starting to make sense. Everything now starts to feel like a story from start to finish. That was another highlight, because then it just shows like it's a key milestone you're getting through. So yeah, I'll say those were some of the key highlights, but definitely the biggest highlight, finishing submitting the
Yes.
survivor
Yes.
accepting.
Oh wow, yeah, it's such a joy to see the whole thing come together. For me, my biggest highlight was actually, of course, finishing, but when I printed it out, I think I was crying. It just hits different. You're like, this is like a baby. I saw a memes at some point
Yeah.
on LinkedIn. Was it LinkedIn or Instagram? As someone who submitted their PhD and wrapped it in a shawl like a baby.
Mhm. It
And
feels really a baby. It really feels like a
exactly.
baby. And when you spoke
Yeah.
about printing your PhD, I remember when I was writing the dedication page.
Oh,
Some people normally have a page where they write a dedication. So mine was
yes.
to my mom and dad, and it was an entire emotional time, because
Yes.
it felt so emotional to be able to get to finish it,
Mm,
and it was an entire moment. So
yes.
I get what you say in terms of you getting to print it.
Yes. Oh, yeah, it is such a highlight. Honestly, yeah. It really is. And yeah, so when you finally get to print it out, it feels like, the child has come to birth, it's out of the incubation now into the world. Yeah. It's quite something to celebrate. Okay. Right. So the final question is, any piece of advice that you have for current PhD students or those who are contemplating to pursue one, specifically African students, but they are on the sidelines? Where do they start? What are some of the lessons you've learned along the way? 3 things that you would advise.
Oh, 3 things. Okay. So
Yeah.
for anyone who is on the sideline, I would say just start.
Yeah.
Just start. Like that is just the punchline, that like just start.
Yeah.
If anything, it's an investment for yourself. It's one of those things where no one can take away from you. Yes, not everybody is meant to do a PhD. Not everybody will enjoy the PhD journey. It's just like any other thing in life. It's not
Yeah.
meant for everybody. But if you're considering it, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing I would say is, if you're already on it,
Mm-hmm.
just keep pushing, be resilient. People's
Mm.
journeys will look different.
Yeah.
You will start journeys with different colleagues, and all of you will end up, having your own different journey. So don't compare yourself with anybody else. Stick to your
Yes.
journey, be resilient. I would say, the best case scenario is that you have a great relationship with your supervisors. Because if anything, really in this world, it will probably just be yourself and your supervisors that know the depths of your PhD, and no one
Yeah.
else will get to know your PhD in those depths. So
Mm-hmm.
maintain a good relationship with your supervisors.
Yeah.
If you have a good relationship with them going, keep at it, be
Mm-hmm.
positive, maintain those relationships, and really try not to not to make those relationships go in the wrong way, because those things tend to happen as well.
Mm.
And yeah, just be resilient. A good PhD is a finished PhD.
Yes.
Keep reading, keep writing, keep evolving, keep challenging yourself. It's
Mm-hmm.
very doable, and just keep pushing.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for that. Actually, with that, on the point of comparison, it's something that I actually struggled with for personally. When we join a PhD, you're a couple of people in one cohort.
Mhm.
So one of the girls in our cohort finished her PhD 2 years, 4 months into it. I'm talking about finished, done, Viva submitted, correction done. Like her corrections were finished in like a day. So it's almost like she finished her PhD in record time, and I was so happy for her. But I didn't realize how much that played on me in terms of, oh, she's finished, I haven't, and I wouldn't say it affected me much, but it did something. There was an effect that it had on me, for a bit, not for a while. I would say maybe it put me down for a week or so, thinking, oh, will I ever finish mine? You know, you're running a race and everybody is running theirs differently, like you said. You know, we are always thinking, as they say, the proverbial grass is green on the other side. We are walking the same path, but people are going at a different pace. We have people who finished their PhDs 7 years later. There was a friend of mine who did his PhD a part-time and he finished in 10 years, you know. So it's it's a common challenge in graduate school when people start comparing themselves. And if there's one message we want to hammer home so much in this episode, is that don't compare yourself. You walk your race, run your race, walk your path. The person who's finished ahead of you, let them walk yours. Yeah, and the joy comes at the end when you're, like you're saying, a finished PhD is a submitted one. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing with us. Thank you so much, Maryline. It was such a delight and pleasure to have you. And yeah, we're looking forward to having you in much more episodes coming, and hopefully in person.
Thanks so much for hosting me, Tabs. Yeah, I know you're going places. You're destined for greatness, and I'm just excited to see how your journey unfolds. But thanks so much. It's an honor to be on this platform with you today.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. That's the end of our episode. Until next time, catch us on LinkedIn at the African PhD Spotlight. I am your host, Tabitha. Goodbye.